Welcome to the 2025 Chronic Absenteeism Indicator presentation from the Accountability Development and Policy Analyst Unit here at the California Department of Education. My name is Michael Ishimoto and I will be presenting with Catherine Morrissey. This session will be covering a short overview of the dashboard and a more in-depth review of the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. For the 2025 dashboard, the California Department of Education has posted a series of on-demand presentations, which are short, accessible videos that can be accessed at any time and will cover each of the state indicators in more detail. Today's agenda includes where to find an overview of the California School Dashboard. Then we will cover all things chronic absenteeism, including what's new for 2025, followed by the differences between DataQuest and the dashboard, before moving on to a few frequently asked questions, and finally how to go about contacting or reaching us with any and all of your dashboard questions. For an overview of the dashboard, the CDE has created the Dashboard 101 on demand. There you will gain a clear overview of the dashboard, including detailed explanations of state and local measures, performance levels, and general rules about the dashboard. You can find a link to the Dashboard 101 on demand in the note-taking.
Thanks, Michael. Now we will go through the details of the 2025 Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. To start, what is chronic absenteeism? Chronic absenteeism represents the percentage of students who were absent for 10% or more of the instructional days they were enrolled to attend. Absences include excused absences, unexcused absences, out-of-school suspensions, and non-average daily attendance or ADA generating independent study days. The absences I just referenced are captured in the Student Absence Summary or STAS file as part of the California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System known as CalPADS. The Chronic Absenteeism Indicator includes students in transitional kindergarten through grade 8 that are expected to attend at least 31 days at the school. On the 2025 dashboard, transitional kindergarten, or TK, will be reported as a standalone grade. To calculate performance of chronic absenteeism, we use both status and change. Status is calculated using the number of students who are considered chronically absent as the numerator, which includes students who are absent at least 10% of the days expected to attend. That number is then divided by the denominator, which is the number of students who have been enrolled to attend at least 31 days. Change is calculated by taking the current year status and subtracting prior year status. For the 2025 dashboard, this will mean the 2024-25 chronic absenteeism rate minus the rate from the 2023-24 school year. Now, let's review how we calculate performance levels for status. Status is the current year chronic absenteeism and will fall into one of 5 status levels: very low, low, medium, high, or very high. To calculate performance levels for change, we compare current and prior year data to determine how a school, district, or student group's chronic absenteeism has changed. The changed levels are declined significantly, declined, maintained, increased, or increased significantly. For this next section, you may want to have your note-taking guide handy while we explain how performance levels or colors are determined. A 5x5 table is used to determine the performance level or color for the chronic absenteeism indicator. The top row of the table represents change from the prior year, from increased significantly to increased, maintained, declined, and declined significantly. And the first column represents the status in the current year, going from very low to low, medium, high, and very high. The intersection of status and change is used to determine the final performance level or color for an LEA, school, or student group. In this example, the intersection of a status level of low and a change level of decline leads to a green performance color level. The specific chronic absenteeism 5x5 table with cut scores can be found in the note-taking guide. So what happens when the count of students are small? To limit large swings in the change data that can be triggered by just a few students, the State Board of Education approved the application of a 3x5 color table when the student population size is less than 150. For the chronic absenteeism indicator, the 150 student count is based on the number of students in the denominator. The top row of the table still represents change from the prior year. However, increased significantly and declined significantly are removed, leaving only 3 change levels: increased, maintained, and declined, with the first column still representing status in the current year and remains unchanged from the 5x5 table, with statuses of very low, low, medium, high, and very high. The intersection of the status level and change level is used to determine the final performance level or color for an LEA school or student group. In this example, the intersection of a status of low and a change level of declined represents a green performance color level. Again, the specific chronic absenteeism 3x5 table with cut scores can be found in the note-taking guide. LEAs and schools can receive an automatic assignment of orange when they have 30 or more students enrolled to attend and if they do any of the following: submit incorrect data for the current year, submit attendance data but did not certify for the current or prior year, did not submit student absence summary or STAS data, submit STAS data but it's misaligned with their cumulative enrollment data submissions, have more full days out of school suspensions than number of days reported as absences. Recall that out of school suspensions are counted as absences. LEAs and schools meet this criterion if the current dashboard cycle, the CalPAD student absence summary file, shows full day out of school suspensions but 0 absences reported. Note that if an LEA or school's own chronic absenteeism data places them at the red performance color, then the LEA or school will continue to receive a red performance level and is not assigned an orange. Also, LEAs submit the data for their schools as well, so the schools within the LEA will also be assigned orange. Finally, if an LEA, school, or student group is marked with the data error flag 2 or more consecutive years, then the LEA, school, or student group will receive a red performance level. And now, back to Michael.
Thank you. Next, we want to go over what Chronic Absenteeism Indicator looks like on the dashboard. A baseball card style graphic will be the first level of information available to schools and LEAs. This sample card reports results of a school or LEA's chronic absenteeism. This card is showing an orange performance level or color with the gauge pointing to the orange section and the word orange under the gauge. Below that, we see the reporting for status and change. In this example, the status shows a chronic absenteeism of 10.1% and an increase of 1.1 percentage points from the prior year. Finally, at the bottom of the card, the equity report shares the number of student groups in each performance level or color. In this example, 0 groups are in blue or green, 2 groups are in yellow, 8 groups are in orange, and 3 were in red. There is a link to view more details at the base of the card, which provides more specific student group information. A dashboard card will look different depending on the size of the denominator. If an LEA school or student group has a small denominator between 11 to 29 students in the current or prior year, then only the current chronic absenteeism rate and change from the prior year is reported. In this sample card, the African American student group is selected and displays no performance color with a grayed out gauge and a chronic absenteeism of 15.4%. It also reports an increase of 8.2 percentage points from the prior year. The number of students or N size is 13. Again, there is an option to select the student group or compare to the state student group result. And a very small denominator, fewer than 11 students in the current or prior year, will have no data reported on the dashboard card to protect students' privacy. In this final sample card, the American Indian student group is selected and displays no performance level, a grayed out gauge, and no data on chronic absenteeism. The number of students or N size is 2. Similar to other cards, there is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results. On an annual basis, you can ensure that your absence data is submitted accurately in CalPADS by verifying the chronic absenteeism data your LEA has submitted. For example, you can double-check the percentage of students with perfect attendance. Specifically, LEAs can review the following CalPADS reports prior to certification. Report 14.1 Student Absenteeism Count for summary results, and Report 14.2 Student Absences Student List to access student level data. These reports are annually available starting in May and can be reviewed throughout the CalPADS end-of-year certification window. Further information on how to access and use the reports are available in Connecting CalPADS to the Dashboard Handbook, which is identified in the note-taking guide. Next, we'd like to cover some of the differences between DataQuest and the dashboard when it comes to chronic absenteeism. Many schools and LEAs use both DataQuest and the dashboard to understand their data. However, DataQuest and the dashboard calculate and present data in different ways. Here are the differences. Schools and LEAs can use both DataQuest and the dashboard to understand their data. While both report chronic absenteeism rates, there are differences in the way the data are calculated and reported. DataQuest reports chronic absenteeism for students in grades transitional kindergarten through grade 12 and allows for filtering for different grade spans. The dashboard only includes transitional kindergarten through grade 8 as a part of accountability reporting. DataQuest includes charter schools in their district authorizers reports. There are filters available to include or exclude charters from the authorizer reports. However, the dashboard always has charter schools excluded from their authorizers results, since charter schools are considered LEAs for accountability purposes. DataQuest and the dashboard differ in how students with disabilities are reported. On DataQuest, students with disabilities are reported at the district of attendance. On the dashboard, they are reported at the district of residence. Finally, DataQuest reports broad reasons for absences for the state, LEAs, and schools, which include excused absence, unexcused absence, out-of-school suspension, and incomplete independent study. While the dashboard does not report an absenteeism by reason, it does provide a link on the dashboard to absenteeism by reason reports in DataQuest.
All right, before we close out our review of the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator, I want to review a few frequently asked questions that we receive. Our first question is, the dashboard is not showing chronic absenteeism data for all my high schools. Is this an error? No, the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator is a transitional kindergarten through grade 8 indicator. Data are reported on the dashboard for elementary and middle grades only. Chronic absenteeism for all grades, transitional kindergarten through grade 12, are available on DataQuest. Up next is, are excused absences included in the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator? Yes, the following absences are included in the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator: excused absences, unexcused absences, out-of-school suspensions, and non-ADA generating independent study. Another common question we get is, I heard that students with in-school suspensions are counted as absent in the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. Is this true? No, in-school suspensions are not counted as an absence. As a reminder, the 4 types of absences counted in the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator are excused absences, unexcused absences, out-of-school suspensions, and non-ADA generating independent study. Can students recover attendance for the days they are absent? No, not at this time. Students will not be able to recover the days they were absent for the 2025 dashboard. The 2024 California Omnibus Budget Bill created an attendance recovery program that started with the 25-26 academic year, but the California State Board of Education will need to review and adopt any changes to the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. And finally, the last question is, my school was closed because of a blizzard or other natural disaster. Will all my students be counted as absence for the purpose of the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator because of the natural disaster? No. The Chronic Absenteeism Indicator uses expected attendance day for its denominator. Expected attendance days are the total number of days a student was scheduled to attend. The days the school is closed are not included in the expected attendance day calculation. And that's our overview of the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. If you need additional help, we have a few different resources available to you. All the links are in the note-taking guide. First, we have our California Department of Education Chronic Absenteeism Indicator webpage. This will be your go-to for any questions you may have about how the rules are applied with examples. It contains links to communication flyers, our technical guides, and other resources. The technical guide is broken up into mini guides to make the information more digestible. Next, we have the Additional Reports webpage. After the dashboard has been publicly released, the data will be updated for the 2025 dashboard. The Chronic Absenteeism Indicator Additional Report will give you more detailed data on the indicator.
If those extra resources do not answer your remaining questions, as always, we can be contacted anytime and are just an email away. As a reminder, our email is dashboard@cde.ca.gov. We also invite you to follow us on X at CDE Dashboard. Thank you for watching this on-demand video about the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. Again, please contact us if you have any additional questions. Thank you.